Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the world you are. Welcome back to my channel. My name is MelloMikeUK, and again, I'd like to present my beautiful and wonderful co-host, Lady Genevieve.
Your overly opinionated co-host.
I like to be complimentary. What is wrong with that? So we are back this week to analyze another week of Melodifestivalen. We are halfway through, and this week we will be going into the third week of the show. So we're going to start by going through the running order for this week's semi-final. We're going to talk about each artist, the potential in their song, potential results that may happen this weekend. We'll see what happens. So in the first slot this week, we have veteran and Eurovision winner Charlotte Perrelli returning with the song Still Young. This, I believe, is Charlotte's fifth participation in the contest, and I believe this is meant to be her big mellow comeback. She competed in 2012 and 2017 and was eliminated, and she's back this year with something a lot closer to what she has done well with in the contest. This is supposed to be a huge Schlager pop number with a key change. So it's been described very much as Invincible 2.0 meets Smith and Tell, and they promise a massive key change as well. So I think this is going to be very much old school Charlotte Perrelli, 1999, 2008. And if you look at the songwriting team, that also promises a lot. We've got Thomas Giersen, Bobby Lundgren, Eric Bernhol, and Charlie Gustafsson. And I believe minus Charlie, this is the same team of songwriters that were behind Kingdom Come for Anna Bergendahl last year. So for the fans in the stands of this contest, there is a lot to be excited about. I mean, Charlotte's a difficult one to call. She's been in it, twice since the last time that she won. Both times she was eliminated in the semi-final and didn't even make it to Under Hansen. I think this is a very tricky one. This isn't the easiest of semi-finals based on names. There is a lot of competition. She will be very standalone in her genre this week, and no one's going to really compete in terms of the Schlager Pop Diva act. I can see this out realistically placing anywhere on the board this week. I can see this going to the final. I can see this going to Under Hansen, and I can see it potentially being eliminated again. And I think until we see the complete package on stage, this could hit anywhere on Saturday night.
Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out a very early guess just based on what's happened this year. So that makes me feel less confident in her ability to go direct, because Jessica did a competent number, but she came in fifth. So that does make me more hesitant to go, oh yeah, she could go direct. But again, I don't know her staging concept and I don't know her team. But if I'm trying to figure out the way you do your data analysis, and
I'm yet to do my data analysis for this week.
Yeah, and apply that manner of thinking to my cat's acting up. Apply that to this week's lineup. So part of me does sort of wonder if this type of music will not get enough of the younger votes. Do you know what I mean? Compared to who else is in this lineup. That's kind of what makes me more hesitant. If it's her getting enough of a boost from the top end and then she goes to, let's say, AC, maybe. But again, this is all such early speculation because we haven't heard anything and we don't know the staging concepts. But I just feel like some of the names in here in theory, have a better chance at appealing to more demographics to be able to do well. And since those demographics really matter now, because you were telling me that apparently she's doing a lot of promo, but do kids care about that? It's a genuine question. I'm not saying that they do or don't, but I don't know. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
it's
like
tricky.
she's experienced, so she has the skills to do a decent job, but then I think it's just a matter of, is the song and the show done in such a way that it can reach enough demographics, I guess, because it's a different system now than before. Because I mean, even when she did her 2012 entry, I thought that was a decent show, but people didn't want to vote for it enough for her to qualify. So I really don't know what to make of her. I never watched the show while she was in her big, because she's done it twice and won twice, right? So
yeah, she won in 99 and 2008.
Yeah, and I wasn't watching either of those times, so I don't know how to gauge. But then again, I underestimated Jessica before, and then when she came back with Party Voice, and then people went, yes. So it really, I really don't have much to say on how I think this will go.
I think Charlotte has got a couple more advantages that Jessica did in week one. Number one, Jessica had Ariana to compete against for the older demographic votes. And as experienced and as professional and as entertaining and likable as Jessica is, she's not going to compete with Ariana. So I think Jessica could have lost a lot of votes being in the same heat as Ariana. Whereas this week, looking at this lineup, I don't really see another act that I think will smash it with the older demographics who will look at Charlotte and be like, yes, 1 in 99, we remember Hero, that this is quite a nostalgic act, So I think she has that going for her.
Good point.
I think one of the other things that she has going for her is that typically of 4 semifinals, week 3 tends to be the least watched of the season. And that seems to give room for the more hardcore fans to push their favorites a little bit further. And I think that's why we have seen, Jessica Andersson in week 3 with Party Voice, Lena Headland also in week 3 with Victorious.
Oh, that was so fun.
I just don't think it's coincidental that in week 3 the Schlager act seems to have a little bit more success than any other semi-final. I think there's less people watching. The hardcore stands will get more of a say, but I have no doubt she's going to present a really good, fantastic stage show. The girl, she really utilized the space, and in terms of the pop numbers that she's done in this contest, she's really gone all the way, and I think she will do that again. I just think, had it not been for the girls' 5th place, we would be a lot more confident.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, this is now a system where we look at all age demographics, and the kids are not going to be head over heels for this. I'm sure it may pick up a few votes, but I think there are going to be other genres and other artists that the younger groups will be more excited for. So my personal guess, before we even hear anything, I would say just creeping into Andra Hansen, like 4th place. I can see her coming 5th again. I don't think she's going to come bottom of the table, but it's a tough week for Charlotte. Second person in this lineup this week is debutante Emil Assergård with the song Om allting skiter sig. I am personally very excited. I know that Emil has been trying out for Melodifestivalen for quite a number of years, kind of in the way that Robin Bengtsson was doing so until he finally got Constellation Prize. I'm very excited. I've listened to his previous hits. I've heard the song he submitted to Mello 2 years ago, which was called The Leavet, which was a huge, huge bop. I think you will like this act personally on Saturday. From what I've heard, it's being done in Swedish. This is very frantic. It's very up tempo. There's a lot going on. It's very energetic, and it delivers quite a hard punch. We look at the songwriters behind this as well. We've got Jimmy Jansen, we have got Jimmy Joker, Anders Retov, Johanna Retov also. Anders Retov is on this song.
Okay, now you should have led with that. I would have tried to emote more energetically if you'd started with that. Anyway, carry on.
This promises to be a very hardcore bop. Emil's biggest struggle is being in a semi-final full of well-established names in either this competition or the Swedish music industry, or just entertainment and television in general. Emil is probably, actually, I'll rephrase that, is definitely the least known artist.
Can
So
he
that's going to
perform?
be. I haven't seen a lot of live performances from him. From what I've heard, he's a competent and good live performer. He's very energetic and he's able to sell himself. I, from personal experience, can't comment because I've not seen any live performances. But from what I've heard of his music, this I think promises to be one of the bops of the week.
Okay.
It's difficult to comment again with a debutant act, especially with a song in Swedish as well. Those kind of acts don't tend to be favored, but this promises all the potential to be a big potential hit in Sweden. You know, the people who are behind it, the kind of music he's put out in the past before, he's got a good amount of Spotify success behind him as well. So I'm really excited for this act.
Fair enough, but again, the point I would reiterate, and it's not a question that I expect you to answer because I've already said it, but the question is, can he perform? Because if you remember a couple of years ago, there was a song called 100%, was Swedish, but 100%. It was really good in studio, did not translate well enough live to compete, particularly as a new artist. So I don't have a whole lot to say except good studio version or a strong studio version is great for getting those streams. So fair enough, he'll probably get good streams, but if he cannot deliver as a performer, then he will be in trouble. So I'm not saying he is in trouble because I don't know him. I don't know what he is capable of. So that's really all I can say.
We've already had that example this year. Kanye 2 One Touch has done relatively well on Spotify and is streaming quite well. It's doing better than a lot, some of the Under Hansen qualifiers who've come through so far, but the performance didn't deliver. So it's very much like you said, it's all well and good having a song that slaps in a studio version, but if you can't bring the performance, then it means absolutely nothing. So I think, like you said, until we, see the rehearsal tomorrow, and get a gist of what the song's about, it's going to be very difficult to judge his chances, but nonetheless, very excited for the song. Okay, so moving on to the third song this week, and it is the return of Klara Hammarström with the song Best of Broken Hearts. Klara obviously came in 5th place last year in what was named by
but it's
so
not
many.
a real 5th. It's a Göteborg 5th, which is something
Göteborg
different.
5th. Most people did dub Göteborg last year as one of the toughest semi-finals.
But it's like that every year. Why do people do that and they act so surprised? Like, wow, oh, it was so competitive. It's like that every year. Anyway, carry on.
It was really unfortunate. Klara was in the heat that we saw Dr. and Anna Bergendahl progress to the final. And she even had, Paul Ray and Alvaro and Mendez who progressed better than Andra Hansen. A lot of people say she was robbed. It was a very good set of 4 acts that went through. So it's very nice to see that Klara is back to, I suppose, get her redemption. But Klara is returning with a Disney-esque ballad.
I'm so disappointed in her.
This has been described as very feel-good, very Disney, but meets Bulletproof. So I'm hoping that we get to see a lot more pop in this than a ballad, because she's already demonstrated that as a pop performer, she's got the goods. She sold her number on stage last year. She was vocally very competent. She had very simple staging last year, but it was just so effective and it slapped hard. And part of me is a little disappointed that we're not getting another up-tempo number because, she was so close to going through last year and could have done very well potentially. So it's interesting that she's taking a Fredrik Kempe ballad. We've got Fredrik Kempe and David Kruger on this song who, in terms of this genre of music, are probably most known for writing Undo for Sanna Nilsson. So I'm not expecting, obviously, Undo 2.0, but this is a very interesting choice for Klara.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I really am, because I think she was is a very promising newcomer. I think she has a really good attitude and energy about what she wants to do as a music artist. And yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm not saying that she should have repeated the concept, because coming back so soon with a virtually identical concept, maybe not the best strategy. But considering what type of stage design this is, and that it's so much more focused on designing it like in a way where you're basically getting the opportunity for free to make a music video. So even if she didn't have a very similar song, but still something that's a proper pop track, a pop banger, she could have done something that would show her development as a performer, because I think she did a good job last year, considering that she's new to the contest and still establishing herself as an artist. But I think she could have really polished her performing skills even more, because by no means do I think she did a bad job. I think she could have definitely qualified in a less competitive semifinal last year, but you could still see, obviously, that she was newer. I mean, some of the little details in the way she carried herself physically, I think it was, I could tell that she's new. Even if I didn't know that she was new, I would be able to tell that she was new. But still, a very good job for someone that's new. So I think she could have come back and really owned the stage even more, and really owned her space, and really just cranked things up to another level. And I'm very disappointed that she's coming back with a ballad. Maybe she wants to show off that she can sing well and hit notes, but she did that last year in a pop banger. I'm so tired of this. And, it's fine. Not everything has to be my thing. It's fine. I still think she's great. I think Lisel did an interview with her last year that I had written all the questions, but Lisel was the one physically there in the room to ask the questions. And I just loved her energy and I loved her vibe. So I'm more so just being tough on her because I think she's great. And I would rather she do something that really showcases what she can do that no one else can do. Because we've seen even just this in the shows that have already aired, you have girls that are coming and just singing a song and not doing anything particularly complicated with staging. I think she has more of an attitude, and I mean that in a good way. I mean that as the highest compliment, where you can really be a pop girl with an attitude not in a rude way, but in a way where you're confident.
You can sell yourself and you can perform. And
I think she can do that. So I'm disappointed that this is where they're going with her. And, fair enough. If it gets her a good result, all the well wishes to her for that. But it's not for me. And not everything will be for me or for any of us. That's not how this works. But yeah, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe the ballad will be more interesting. But looking at those writers.
Okay, moving on to the fourth song of the week, and we are going to rock band Mustasch with the song Contagious. Very, very interesting choice of
Shall we move on?
Title.
No, sorry.
They actually promised that the words contagious in this song are a reference to how catchy the song is, as opposed to the global pandemic that we are
Still
in the middle
not the
of.
right time. Still not the right time. Read the room.
Of the 7 acts competing this week, this is by far one of the more established acts. This band has been going for 30 years. They have had great success in Sweden. They produced multiple albums that have done very well. This is going to be your classic rock act. I think we can see this doing a very similar kind of thing as Little Sister did 2 weeks ago. I think this is going to be very true to the rock style that they do, and this isn't going to be a compromise of let's do something more accessible for Melodifestivalen. But I think that does them a favor. Little Sister got a good result and surpassed everyone's expectations, and I think the set can do it as well in Mello. The The song is supposed to also be very melodic, despite being very heavy rock styled. For me, this is one of the safest acts to progress to the top four, just because it's just so in its own genre. And again, we have seen from Little Sister there is room for acts like this, and Sweden likes to see acts like this. In terms of what to expect on Saturday, I like we're saying for many of these acts, I think there is a big question mark, and we're going to have to wait to see. But I'm confident that it's going to be aesthetically strong. This is an act that's been going for a very long time. The lead of the act, Ralph Gillenhammer, has done Melodifestivalen before. He competed in 2013 with Bed on Fire.
Did you have to remind me? Anyway, sorry. I was trying to offer a bit of attitude. I'm really tired right now, and I want to make sure your show is entertaining. Anyway.
He's done this before. He knows the drill. He's been in the final, and I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage as well. There's not really a lot to say on this act, but I think it's a safe top four. I think it's definitely a contender to move into the final this week. This act is a lot more established in Sweden than what Little Sister was 2 weeks ago. So we could see them in the final. We could see them in Andre Hansen, depending on the song and the staging.
With discussing just the theoretical topic of rock entries in Mello, I feel like I already said everything that needs to be said when we were talking about Lilla Sister and how to make that work. And I think also Lilla Sister have now put themselves in the position of being a very strong template for other rock entries to understand how to be successful in the contest. So if you just kind of do a typical, you stand there and you perform it exactly like you were if there was a live audience, and then the camera just kind of films you, I don't think that translates well, and I don't think that it works in the context of it being a competition. So if it's more interesting staging, then that can help. And of course, if it's a decent song, that can also help. I didn't know they were all that established. So then I guess it's a question of, just because they've been around, does that mean that that translates to fans following them into? Because you were saying that Dead by April, when they were in it before, were very popular at the time. But yes. I don't know what this group's current popularity is and how that translates to.
Yeah,
are people going to come flocking to the show? Wasn't this a thing? Listen, I don't know Eurovision well, so you're going to have to correct me on this. Wasn't that a thing with the band that won, the ones in the costumes, where they were really big outside of, they were just already big, so a lot of people that wouldn't normally watch Eurovision, they came and voted for them because they were already known or something like that?
Oh, Lordi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lordi were, I think kind of like Dead by April and Mello, I think Lordi were very well established kind of 2004, 2005. So going into the Eurovision Song Contest, it wasn't just sort of a gimmick. People knew who Lordi was. So, I mean, the aesthetic helped, and I think whether they had been known or not, they would have probably won based on the gag of the whole act itself. But just looking at their stats, they're not exactly at the peak of their game, but they're still current. They had a top 10 album in 2018. So they're not, has-beens who were popular 15 years ago when they're coming back. They're still relatively current. They're still making music. So it's tough to say. I think it's very safe to say, though, if this qualifies to Andre Hansen on Saturday, I think we have our first confirmed duel with Mustasch versus Lilla Sister.
Well, not necessarily. They have to, one of them has to have come third and the other fourth, because if they both place in the same position, they will not pair them up.
If the placings work out, they will absolutely. But no, if they both come either third or fourth, then we wouldn't see that. Okay, moving on to the fifth act of this week, and we have Sweden's dance band favorite. It is Elisa Lindström, who is back with the song Den Du Är. It's quite funny with Elisa that she has won like pretty much every competition she could have done in Sweden. She has now won it, except for Melodifestivalen. She competed 2014, I believe. She had a song called Casanova. It placed fifth in the semi-final and didn't advance any further. This is going to be completely different. The songwriters on this song, we have Bobby Lundgren and Ingela Ping Forsman. That duo in particular are very famous for their ballads, and it has been confirmed that this is a classic 90s style mellow ballad. Nothing more, nothing less. This I know will be your least favorite song of the week because it's going to be done in such a typical Swedish mellow way.
Shall we move on?
It's really surprising. She's not, exactly known for doing this kind of style. She is a very dance band act. From what I've read, she heard the song, she cried her eyes out the first time she heard it, and she had to have it for mellow. So I don't know. I mean, Elisa's popularity definitely opens the doors to progress further on her name alone. But it does sound like this is going to potentially be the least competitive song of the week. 90s style mellow ballads very rarely are done well and progress further in this contest. Had anyone else been singing this song, I would pretty much been like, out, done. It's not happening. Given the fact that Elisa is so popular in Sweden, she's on television all the time in Sweden. That is an advantage. The kids are going to know who she is. Everyone is going to know who this act is. So
which ballad is going to do better? Since you know more of the trivia.
I would assume it's tough because I think Klara is very much the kid act of the week, and I can see Klara is going to be getting the 8s, 10s, and 12s from the first kind of age demographics. Whereas I think Elisa, this is kind of a song that will score well with like the older 2 or 3 demographics. So I think it's more really what works in the middle. If I had to take a stab at the moment, I would probably say Klara has a slight edge for just being more relevant in this contest. She's done it last year. I think Klara is going to have a more she's definitely going to have a more modern sort of take on a ballad than Elisa. So it's a struggle. There is potential. I think the song is going to have a hard time. But
not to jump the gun, but you think that Klara is the one that the kids are going to flock to and not Tusse? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking a question.
Tusse doesn't really have, from what I can gather, the most child-friendly song. I'm not saying he'll do well with the kids. I'm sure he will. But in terms of, we look at the acts who the kids have given their top marks to throughout this process, and it is sort of that, that young pop diva girl in her, late teens, early 20s. They really like, that kind of act. And I think Tusse will score well, but I think Klara will probably get a better result with the first 2 age categories. I just had a look, and I think last year Klara got 10 points from the youngest category and 8 points from the second. So placed, second and third. So I see, and the kids love a Disney-esque sort of feel as well. I think this will probably be very Frozen. I just see that doing well with the kids. So Tusse will do well, but I think
because Klara I wasn't cross enough with Klara, you had to make it worse by saying the F word.
I'm not a fan of the F word either.
Mm-mm.
Moving on to our 6th act of the week, and it is the return of Alvaro Estrella with the song Baila Baila. I remember being in my hotel room in Stockholm last year on the day of the final, and I remember chatting to my friend, and I remember saying, I will put everything I own on this right now. We will see Alvaro Estrella in Mello as a solo artist next year. This was by far the most expected name to see in this lineup. He competed in 2014, was a bit of a favorite going into the semi-final, but it didn't work out. He's made his return with Mendes, got to the final, Vamos Amigos, huge pop and a huge hit. every opportunity was going to be given to Alvaro to come back, and we are excited. We are going to get some Latin pop.
He said it's going to be a sexier song and a sexier show than Vamos Amigos. So I am ready for, everything that Bedroom didn't end up being live, because the studio version still slaps. But so it'll be a nice full circle moment to, all right, I'm ready now. Because that was, we had him for half an hour yesterday for an interview where Lisel took most of the time, but I posted my segment already, just a few words about him having done it before. And he feels like now looking back on it, maybe he wasn't fully ready when he did Bedroom. But also part of the reason why he was as nervous as he was, you can hear this directly from his mouth if you just go to my channel, because I already posted it. But he basically explained that he had a technical issue during one of his dress rehearsals, and that really contributed to his nerves on the night of the show, because he was worried about the technical malfunction happening again. It had to do with his inner ears. So, we've seen what happened now, especially now. We know what that ends up looking like on stage when you have a technical malfunction with your inner ears, and then you become Renaida. But not everyone can play things off as well as Renaida. So even when she has a technical malfunction, and then she's just in the middle of her number goes, I can't hear anything.
If anything, that made the performance. I remember in the final, when she was calling to the producers, I can't hear any. I had to ask my friend, it was in Swedish, what does she say? And he said, oh, she can't hear any ears. But then it was just before the second drop in the chorus, and it was the way she ran up the stairs, grabbed the in-ear, threw it, and then just went for the drop. And it was just, oh my God, that was one of the most iconic moments in that final. So, like you said, that all goes down to professionalism and mostly experience in how you're able to deal with a situation like this.
Yeah, but he said he's ready now. So, because I said, because he was saying, well, maybe I wasn't, looking back on it, maybe I wasn't ready at the time for everything that the mellow bubble is. But that's when I immediately chimed in and went, but you're ready now. And he said, yeah, I'm ready now. And I'm going, yes. So I'm so excited. And, even though he's still, in many ways, still establishing himself as a solo artist, he's been busy and working for so long, just doing backing vocals with backing dancing. So like you sort of touched on the last time we were filming, where when people would need someone who can dance and sing, he would always be on the list of, let's go see if Alvaro is available. Oh, sorry, this is distracting me, so I have to just say this. I hate this photo of him. I don't know why they didn't give him a backlight, because he's wearing dark clothing and he's got dark hair, and then it's just blending into the background. It's honestly, do any of you know how to do your job? Anyway, sorry, really bothers me. Yeah, it's so get a backlight. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I am excited to hear an up-tempo Latin pop track, something with more personality. Maybe saying that it has an edge is probably not quite the word I'm looking for, but just something that is more for my particular taste.
Yeah,
so
there's no doubt this will be your favorite of the week. No doubt.
Well, I don't really know what to expect with Tusse, because obviously, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. We don't have to overly talk about Tusse just yet, but I'm still holding out. I think that could be something good, because I know he has dancers, and then I know the songwriting team. So these two are really the ones where I'm going.
Absolutely.
Preliminary guess, these two will be my favorite. But Alvaro, this will be his third time doing it as a competing act, where his name is on the entry, even though he's done it a bunch of times dancing behind people and dancing and singing behind people. So I think he knows the drill at this point. And it was just really fun, because when he was talking with Lisel, I'm jumping the gun a little bit because she has not posted her interview, but by the time he posts this, I'm assuming the interview will already be out. But he basically said that, I think it was Linnea who called him, and she said, I think I have a song for you for Mello. So it wasn't even like he had to go out of his way to, I think he probably was a good muse for her and the team where they're going, well, this is really fun because we know sort of what his vibe is as an artist, and that gives us an opportunity to make a type of song that we wouldn't normally make for other artists, and we get to draw inspiration from certain genres. And I don't want to say Latin music and overgeneralize it as a monolith, but, you know, again, I haven't heard it, but presuming that they get to draw from certain sub-genres within the larger umbrella of Latin music to maybe go for certain instruments that they wouldn't normally use in the production of the track. So, yeah, and just really have a fun, I mean, listen, we're all struggling, we're all sad, and we're all, you know, not in the best mental space. So I'm sure for them it was probably really fun in, I don't know exactly when they made this, but presumably everything was already kind of falling apart last year. And they were probably, I'm assuming, because I know Linnea and I know those writers, so they were probably having the time of their lives making this song.
You know they were.
Yeah, of just a fun, just a proper tune, you know, Latin, up-tempo, just a party all around, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I don't know who his dancers are. I should do some creeping while you share your further thoughts on this or anything else.
I've got to be honest, of the 7 acts this week, Alvaro is the one that I have the biggest question mark over.
Why?
Because I have no idea how this act is going to go in terms of results. You know, we've had 2 semi-finals so far, and the big pop boy, I would assume you would call them, have made it into the final. This is the big pop boy number of the week. So there is every opportunity that this progresses further into the final under Hansen. This is again, I think the fact that this is such a tough heat, this is a very, from what I can gather, this is a very, it's a varied week in terms of genre. You know, we've got the dance band artists, we've got the Schlager queens, we've got the new artists, we've got, you know, an Idol winner, we've got a rock band, you know, we have a Latin pop song. I'm getting, I don't want to say it yet because it's too early. These are the feelings I was getting for Patrick Jean last week. When I was looking at the lineup and I knew what was coming, it was the, oh, is this going to end up at a potential upset? And it did. And something has got to give in a semi-final this strong, because honestly, at this point, I know in previous weeks when we've analysed these semi-finals, we've kind of been able to say, we think this act is going to come 7th and 6th. I, honest to God, cannot tell you who is coming bottom 2, bottom 3, and that makes me nervous in terms of potential favourites getting upset. And Alvaro is part of that bubble where I'm not. It's not that I'm not confident. It's just I have 2 acts this week. I'm very sure we will see progress into the top 4,
and they are
Mustasch and Tusse. I genuinely believe that, and I'm not necessarily saying those are the top 2 of the week and they'll go to the final, but I just think their spots in the top 4 are pretty secure based on what they're doing and their reputations. That leaves 2 spots to potentially, you know, fight for, with a lot of names fighting for those spots. In my heart, this will progress further. This is going to, especially after, you know, you've got Mustasch going forth as a rock number, you have Elisa as a very 90s ballad. This will be a breath of fresh air going as song number 6. This is going to lift the room. This is going to lift people's spirits. I've already read that it has that little like kind of Spanish guitar in the intro with the song, so instantly within seconds people are going to know what this is.
Well, the song is called Baila Baila. I don't think the song has to start for them to know what it's going to be.
And I guess it's just his name. I think
what will really help is just if he can connect to the audience, because I think that with Mendes, despite the fact that the last 2 times that Mendes came, he had to go to AC and not go direct, even though I would have to go back and look at the lineups of those semis, but I'm assuming that he would have been my picks both times to go direct, but that's just my personal preferences. But the thing with Mendes is that he's so good at connecting with the audience, and not just the audience in the arena, but also the audience through the camera. He's really likable. He's really charming. So with Alvaro, if he can just really deliver a show and have those moments to connect to the camera, because I really don't know, because I think if it was just a show for the sake of a show, you could just kind of play up the I'm a hot boy doing a hot song and you're gonna feel hot while I'm doing it, you know? But but I think that if he can add just that little nod of, I think it'll also depend on the postcard. I think it'll help if he can present himself as being likable, because I think it made a huge difference from week 1 to week 2. The week 1 postcards were so impersonal, and it felt like it was just focusing on cinematography as opposed to actually introducing the artists to the people, which I think really did them a disservice, especially for the newcomers, where you really just did not know who they were except for the 3 minutes of what they were doing on stage. But then with week 2, it was, oh, we're going to have fun. We're going to have some banter with Oscar and Anis, and Oscar's feelings are hurt because Anton is married. You know, it just really, you get to have that personal connection. So then regardless of whatever their stage concept is, if they're just nice and personable, which as far as I could tell, I think almost or definitely all of them were able to come across like that in the postcards. So I think that could really make a difference. Where
I agree,
because I think if Alvaro is doing a hot boy number, I will get my life, because I love a hot boy concept, you know. And I say that with respect. I don't want anyone thinking like, listen, he's married. I think he's married. He just had a baby, you know. There's no, I mean, nothing untoward, you know, but just purely from like an artistic level of, oh, I'm gonna be, that's the attitude of this song, and I'm gonna be alluring and provocative. I love that, but does it translate well to a wide array of demographics? Now, if he really puts on a great show, that helps, because you're offering entertainment value. And if people are having a good time and dancing, particularly if you're telling me he's coming right after a boring ballad that doesn't even need to be here, that's literally what you said. I'm just quoting you. So, I think that's really, now that you're talking about it, I can kind of get what you mean by a question mark, but maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part, but I'm definitely hoping that he'll make it. I'll probably be texting Lisel once the show is starting, and I'll go, don't forget to vote for Alvaro. And she'll go, yeah, I already know, I'm going to. I wouldn't even put it past her to, well, anyway, yeah. I feel like that'll probably be what I'll lean towards, is I'll go, vote for Alvaro. Maybe Tusse as well. Yeah, vote for, any of you watching this, if you've hacked the app or if you're in Sweden, vote for Alvaro, because honestly, I want even if it's just for memes, I want a reunion of the It Boys in the finals. I think that's hilarious, and I want them all there. And I think most of them have done an adequate enough job to warrant being there. So
Alvaro kind of just completes it. I know it's pretty
well,
much
it's Alvaro and Eric, but I'm not worried about Eric qualifying.
No, we're not worried about Eric. Alvaro's the last missing piece. I mean, good luck to them doing the running order, trying to spread those 4 boys across the running order.
Or they might be super. What if they're super shady and they put Danny and Eric back to back? I want the drama. That's lighthearted drama. You know what I mean? No one's feelings are getting hurt in that. No one's getting emotionally damaged by that. It's just funny. It's just mess.
Moving on to our final song. Song number 7 this week is Voices, performed by Idol winner Tusse. Songwriters on this include Joy Deb, Linnea Deb, Antus Vretov, Jimmy Joker. There is a lot to be excited for in this act. I think it's also worth mentioning that this is an act that SVT very badly wanted in Mello. He was chased.
I don't mean that with any disrespect. I'm just, because I don't know these things.
So from what I can understand, when he competed on Idol, there was a week that they usually do like a Mello week or like a Eurovision week during, the run of the show. And on that week, they had Christer Bjorkman as a guest judge. And I think there was a conversation during that weekend where it was like, you're amazing. Then this is before he won. It's like, you're amazing, you're talented, and I want you in Melodifestivalen in 2020. So the opportunity was there, but Tusse declined it, said, no, I'm trying to get my head around this. This is too much. I'm not ready to do it. And I think there was a lot of chasing for him again this time around. So SVT have wanted this badly. They've got him badly. He's closing the third semi-final. He's got an amazing group of people behind the song. Again, from what I've read this morning, huge production, very melodic. There is a big key change. There are comparisons. The chorus to Sia Chandelier. I think this is, if this goes right, the staging is put together perfectly and he shines. I honestly feel like this could be a Jon Lundvik Too Late for Love moment. And when I say that, I mean, when we were watching the 2019 contest, there were some really competitive songs all the way through, but we got to song number 28. Jon Lundvik performed, and when he finished and that microphone came down, it was kind of like, it's done. That's it. That's the winner. I feel there is a potential that Tusse can have that moment where he just blows everyone away, and it's kind of like, oh, we're done. Like, this is it. He's a completely new act. He's only a year into his career after winning Idol, so there's not a lot to go off. But there is no doubt there is such huge potential in this act. I have no question, one way or another, it is going to the final, and it will be a contender to win. But he very much could seal this competition up this weekend.
Well, I'm excited because he's got dancers, and I don't know all of them, but I like the vibe. I think it was yesterday where he was posting on social media with all of them, and they just had really good energy as a group. And I don't know all of them, like I said, but Lamin is in here and Keisha's in here, so I know those two anyway, and they're great. So, yeah, I haven't looked into him yet because I felt like, well, I'd rather just watch everything with fresh eyes, and not have any expectations on people beyond what I already just had beforehand. But I like the writing team, and I like that he has dancers. So already I'm intrigued, and I'm assuming big vocals. So
he is
there we go.
I can say from watching, he is a phenomenal vocalist. And I think, having a song titled Voices, it's pretty important that you have a voice that can match up to a title like that. He has done the up-tempo tracks and has done them so well. He's able to pull off a stunning ballad very easily. I think we're going to see, I don't necessarily think that this is an up-tempo song, nor do I think this is a ballad. I think this is going to be something a little bit more in the middle that has those ballad-esque big note moments. But I think this will also be very production heavy, but we like really good, strong production on a song.
Yeah. I don't think it would work to put him as a show closer if there wasn't something there. You're not going to put just a bland ballad last in the running order. That's just not how television production works. So
obviously, in terms of numbers and productions and the songs, they're probably very different. But we had 5 years ago, Oscar See a Human closed that semi-final, and yes, it was a ballad, but the production value on that was so big. So I get a potential similar vibe. The song is about community, and then about being free in yourself, and having that voice to obviously speak out, to stand for what you believe in. And I just think that this is such a good act to have on the stage. This isn't someone who originally comes from Sweden, who's been there for a very long time, who has built himself up from nothing, who has said screw you to every person who ever said no to him. And he's won Idol. He's now a big contender to potentially win the biggest TV show in Sweden. Instantly, I like this guy. I'm really drawn to him. For someone so young as well, I believe he's only 19 years old. incredibly charismatic, holds himself very professionally in a very mature way. Very impressed because we very rarely see that from the youngsters that compete in this competition. Not to name names. That I'm so impressed on how he's carried himself before he's even stood on that stage, and that's big bonus points for me.
See, you're reminding me that I need to text Lisa and go, did you request Tusse?
We need to hear from him.
Oh, I told her off. I said, I thought you had requested him already. I'm not even kidding. I'm doing that right now.
Do it. Just huge expectations, which I think he's going to fulfill. And I think it's not a question of if he'll get to the final, it's what's he going to do at the final. That is the big question we have now. And it would be very humbling. Again, before even hearing the song and seeing the stage number, it would be very humbling to have this kind of act with this kind of story being crowned Sweden's favourite. And I think he's got the story to do it. And I think what's so vital in Melodifestivalen as well is a winner is having that story. You know, this isn't the X Factor where we cry about a dead hamster. You know, this isn't what this is, but having that storyline to go aside a great song and number is so important in Melodifestivalen. He's got the storyline, you know, and it's not even something he has to sell. It's him. He is the story. And it's weird. It's like, I'm so proud of him before he's even stepped on that stage. Like, I'm excited. This is going to blow everyone away. Pretty much 95% sure that this is the winner of the semi-final. I'm excited.
So since you're more plugged into the lineup, what their songs are, at least in studio version, we don't know about the show fully yet, but and also you do all your data analysis. So very, very, very early preliminary, subject to change because you haven't seen rehearsal clips yet. What do you think preliminary guesses are for results?
I think we're absolutely going to see Tusse go to the final. Very little question. My biggest contender for the second spot in the final will be Mustasch. I'm going to say the most likely to be eliminated will be Emil Assergård and also Elisa, because I think we've seen time and time again in this contest that name doesn't always carry you. You need to have the song and the package to deliver it. So I think she will struggle. So that for me leaves Charlotte Perrelli, Klara Hammarström, and Alvaro Estrella fighting for 2 spots in the top 4. Again, when this is, I'm not assuming who's going to place where, it's just who I think will progress to the top 4 at this current time. Right now, I'm going to say that Charlotte is going to come 5th, and I think we'll see Alvaro and Klara progress with Tusse and Mustasch. Again, like you said, this is subject to change. I could see the rehearsals tomorrow and completely flip my ranking upside down. But just based on what we've seen, in the contest the last 2 years with this new voting system and what we've seen so far in the trends of what's doing well and what's not doing well, Tusse and Mustasch, I feel, are very safe in the top 4. Alvaro, I feel something would have to go very wrong for Alvaro to not progress. And I think he is talented and competent enough as a performer to carry himself. So I think he'll make it. And then, I feel like it's a fight between Charlotte and Klara. And maybe that just comes down to who has the bigger number. But at the moment, I would say Charlotte is more likely to be eliminated over Klara. But very early to call, but I think regardless, this is going to be a very competitive semi-final. I think we're going to get 7 decently presented entries that are all done well in their style and aesthetic. It's very open, very open.
Yeah, I don't really have any predictions because I don't know enough about the lineup to even begin to make guesses like that. But my personal feelings just based on what I think the numbers will be, I really want Alvaro and Tusse to go direct. So that's how I feel right now. But again, I can absolutely change my mind, but I don't see myself changing my mind, but we'll see. I'm just preliminary guessing, you know?
And the thing is, even the Thursday clips don't necessarily give everything away. What we see on the Saturday night, again, looking back at week one, no one was talking about Little Sister until the performance. And it was kind of, okay, this is happening. So whatever we see tomorrow isn't necessarily a realistic expectation of what can happen. We get to see 60 seconds of 3 minutes, which is nothing. And some of these acts as well, there were going to be very big moments in the songs that I'm sure will be masked in the snippets tomorrow. I'm sure there are certain acts they're going to want to hold back on and not give everything away until Saturday night. But I think there is all the potential for some dramatic television on Saturday and for a lot of drama, potential upset, all I hope is for good TV regardless. But I think this is going to be a really good show and a really good set of songs this week.